factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership. We will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
Hello and welcome to Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. We've got a lot lined up for you over the course of the next 30 minutes. But here's a look at what the top election stories are trending at this moment. A deadly hurricane in a high-stakes election battle. That's what the United States is grappling with at the moment. In the midst of catastrophic climate, what are the two presidential nominees promising the voters? And more importantly, which way are the American people leaning as per the latest surveys? In the United Kingdom, the race for the Tory leadership is down to two candidates after James Cleverly was shown the door. Who will the Conservatives now pick as Rishi Sunak's successor in the coming days? So the American presidential race has made a pit stop in Pennsylvania. Both candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, are trying very hard to woo the voters in the battleground states, with election being just 4 days away. Now, in the red camp, Donald Trump was at an election rally in Joe Biden's hometown, Scranton in Pennsylvania. In his signature style, he took a dig at his political rivals and said that he will save democracy once he's voted back to power.
And yesterday, Tampa and Tim said they want to abolish the Electoral College, taking away all electoral power basically from the voters of places like Pennsylvania. Tim and Comrade Kamala are really a true threat. They are a true threat to democracy. I'm not a threat to democracy. I'm the one that's going to save democracy.
Now, Kamala Harris's campaign is also wooing the voters in Pennsylvania, and she is bringing some star power with her to the critical battleground state. Now, later in the day today, the former American President Barack Obama is expected to rally for the Democrat presidential nominee. So as the election fever gains momentum, sources are saying that Kamala Harris's campaign has raised a staggering $1 billion American dollars as of September end, putting a war chest in a much stronger position than Donald Trump. As for the Republican leader, his campaign fund currently stands at a measly $308 million in comparison with Kamala Harris's war chest, which is way far behind his political rival. With the nail-biting race drawing closer, an interesting popularity trend has also emerged in favor, it appears, of Kamala Harris. Now, at least according to one survey, the vice president has managed to galvanize a critical vote bank in her favor. And this is the vote bank of the suburban voters and the middle-class households. So let's take a quick look at some trends from the past few months. Now, during June and July, when Joe Biden was still in the race, he was trailing way behind Donald Trump by 3%. The trend over the 2 months showed us to how Biden at the time was struggling to rally the suburban voters in his favor. But when Kamala Harris stepped into the ring as the Democrats' presidential nominee, the gap began to close between her and Trump. And now the most recent surveys from September and October indicate that Harris leads Trump at 47 to 41% amongst the suburban voters. So from July to when Harris launched her campaign to now, the vice president, it appears, has managed to swing 9 percentage points in her favor. Now, America's suburban demography accounts for the large vote share and includes people from across all races and ethnicities. While Kamala Harris enjoys a steady support on several fronts when it comes to key issues like immigration and economy, several polls have shown that the voters are leaning towards Donald Trump as the preferred president to deal with these issues. So with election rallies in the last phase, Donald Trump has proposed ending U.S. income taxes for Americans who live abroad as part of his 2024 presidential campaign. Now, this change will impact nearly about 9 million American citizens who reside overseas. It will simplify their tax obligations to the United States. Now, currently, the Americans who live abroad are required to still file their taxes with the IRS, even if they don't owe taxes to the American government. The proposal is aimed at ending the double taxation that some expats face, in addition to the taxes that they pay in their country of residence. Now, under the current tax laws, the U.S. citizens abroad can earn up to $126,500 without paying federal income taxes. And those earning about that threshold may owe the U.S. taxes despite already having paid taxes in their host nation. Now, Trump's plan could potentially eliminate this burden. However, his pledge would also require the congressional approval. Advocates say that it could prevent the U.S. citizenship renunciation, which occurs partly due to this complex tax regulation. While Trump's proposal targets reducing individual tax bills, his broader economic plans focus on offering tax relief to the companies operating within the United States. His overseas tax cut pledge contrasts with the policies that would raise the taxes for businesses manufacturing offshore, with tax reforms estimated to exceed $10 trillion over the next decade. Now, Trump's focus on tax cuts remains central to his 2024 campaign. The ChatGPT maker OpenAI has reported a rising trend in misuse of its AI models to create fake content. And this includes articles and social media posts designed to sway elections. According to the report, criminals are increasingly using AI tools, including ChatGPT, to conduct illegal activities such as creating and debugging malware and generating fake content for websites and social media platforms. The company has said that this year till date, it has managed to foil 20 such attempts, including a set of ChatGPT accounts in August that were used to produce articles on topics that included the 2024 U.S. elections. So despite of these incidents, OpenAI has confirmed that none of the efforts to influence global elections have gained significant traction or large audiences. Meanwhile, concerns are growing about the use of AI tools and social media sites to generate and to propagate fake content that is related to elections, especially as the United States is getting up for its presidential election on the 5th of November. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Russia, Iran and China are using generative AI to disseminate fake or divisive information to influence the 2024 U.S. elections. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening in the American elections, we're being joined by Ms. Joanna LeBlanc, who's a political analyst and a foreign relations expert. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Ms. LeBlanc, this is an election that is being watched across the world. And one thing that I want you to weigh in on is the staggering disparity in the amount of funds that these two candidates seem to have raised. Now, Kamala Harris is in fact late into the race, has managed to put together $1 billion. She's bringing in a lot of this big money, the backing of the billionaires, while Donald Trump, on the other hand, who's seen as someone who's very business friendly, has managed to generate a war chest of just about $300+ million. Are we to now read that the big money in America, the super PACs, are all backing Kamala Harris?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think that what's important to note is that, one, by the time that the election gets here, which would be on November 5th, Vice President Harris would have spent about $2 billion, or at least have raised at least $2 billion. And that is an unprecedented amount of money that will be going into our elections. And I think it's important for Vice President Harris to raise this much money. And the reason being is that literally she's had only 100 days to run for the president of the United States and had very little name recognition, even though she once served as a United States Senator, the second Black woman, a woman of color, to have served in that role. She's previously held major positions in the state of California as Attorney General and so on. But yet, the public wasn't necessarily familiar with her. And although she is currently the Vice President of the United States of America, but as we know, the Vice President's role is not to overshadow the President. So I think all of the dollars that you see going into her campaign, whether it's coming from Super PAC, which is important, but there's a lot of money also coming from individuals, like people who are truly interested in seeing that she wins this election.
You know, a lot of people around the world do not know, but lobbying in American politics is pretty much legal. So when you have these super PACs who are investing so much in the campaign of Kamala Harris, now there is going to be a lot of interest in knowing as to who is backing Kamala Harris at this moment. Now, in contrast, Donald Trump is managed to get just about $310 million. So the question is this: Kamala Harris, till the time that she became the contender, was not seen as a vice president who performed so superbly well. But now the surveys seem to indicate that Kamala Harris is now pulling ahead of Donald Trump. What has she done right in the last 90 odd days that she's been in the race?
I think that one, she's had a great team to campaign on her behalf. And she herself has been out knocking on every door. And I think she's very committed to not leaving anyone behind, right? She's very visible in the community. She's very visible across the country. And the campaign has had a robust public relations plan to go out to make sure that the public understands her policy position, right? And also for the public to understand who she is as a candidate and what she will bring to the table if she were to become president of the United States. So I think communications-wise, her team has done an excellent job.
All right. And also with respect to the black voters within the United States of America, there was in fact this campaign, you know, of sorts, which said, I don't stand with Kamala Harris because she does not stand with me. This was something that the black women came out and said. Do you think she's been able to now convince the black voters in America that she is the person that they'll have to rely their faith in, because probably she has their best interest that she, when she becomes the president, will push through with? So has she succeeded with the black voters?
Well, first and foremost, African Americans in America have historically voted a Democrat. The last election with Joe Biden and President and Donald Trump, black women voted 90% for Joe Biden. And I don't see a shift in that this election. I think black women in particular are going to support Vice President Harris, and they have galvanized, they have mobilized to help her win this election. In fact, in addition to that, you have different groups within the American public that have created, their own network. Like, for example, you see LGBTQI+ for Kamala Harris. You see black women for Harris. You see black men for Harris. You see lawyers for Harris. You see doctors for Harris. Because I think there's a momentum, and I think people are trying to seize on the momentum, but also to look at who her opponent is.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. LeBlanc, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you so much.
Let's now shift our attention to what is happening in the United Kingdom. The race for the next Conservative Party leader in the United Kingdom is now down to just 2. And this after the Tory MPs eliminated James Cleverly in a result which has left many Conservatives shocked and their Labour and Liberal Democrat rivals delighted. Now, Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick will now compete for the party's top job in a vote by the party members. Now, Cleverly's exit in the final vote of the party MPs was unexpected as he had topped the previous round of voting and was the favourite to win. But the results saw Cleverly lose support, going from 39 votes on Tuesday to 37. So what went wrong for James Cleverly? Well, it seems that he fell victim to overconfidence. According to sources within the party, some of Cleverly's supporters were convinced that he was nailed on for the final 2, and they flipped support to Jenrick to try to stop Badenoch in finishing in the top 2. The move backfired for Cleverly as he ended up losing the votes. Now, as per several reports in British media, Labour leaders reacted to the result with apparent glee. It also commented on the remaining 2 candidates, calling the Tory members' task as choosing between 2 of the architects of the Tory failure that we witnessed. The Liberal Democrats also welcomed the news of Cleverly's exit, calling it an opportunity for them. Now, Tim Farron, the former leader of the Liberal Democrats, said that he thinks that the election result provides a huge opportunity for his party. And we earlier spoke with our correspondent, Ollie Barrett, who joined us live from London, and this is what he had to say about the Tory leadership race. Listen in.
We don't really know what happened exactly. There are various theories about it, but because this is a secret ballot from Conservative MPs, we may never actually really know what happened. One of the theories is that because James Cleverly had performed so well in the previous round, is that some of those MPs supporting him thought that they could afford to perhaps try and lend their vote, as it's called, to one of the other candidates to try and encourage them through to the final round against James Cleverly, because they thought that James Cleverly would find that candidate more easy to beat. So the theory goes that some James Cleverly supporters were perhaps supporting Robert Jenrick to try and get him through to the final round because they thought James Cleverly would stand a better chance against him. Now, if that did happen, there was clearly a miscalculation. It may well have been individual MPs deciding to carry out subterfuge like that to try and see their man through to the final round. It's not clear that that is exactly what happened. It could be something akin to the opposite. It could be that supporters of Robert Jenrick or Kemi Badenoch in previous rounds were also lending their votes to someone else to try and see their candidate through to an easier final round runoff. It could also just be that Robert Jenrick had a good last 24 hours and persuaded enough MPs to join up to his side, and some slipped away from James Cleverly. As I say, we may well never know exactly what happened, exactly what went wrong, but it was a huge shock for those in the Cleverly campaign who thought he was pretty much home and dry to that final pairing.
The deepfake videos of the French President Emmanuel Macron are doing the rounds on social media. In one of them, Macron is seen dancing, believe it or not, with Taylor Swift, while another viral video shows him kissing a male security guard. None of this happened. All of this is AI-generated content. Now, he's responded saying that these videos illustrate the need for AI regulation, adding that millions of people have seen the deep fake of him with the security guard. The French president clarified that kissing another man was not a bad thing in his opinion in itself, but that is not his reality. Emmanuel Macron also said that such false images can hurt people who are vulnerable, and it can plunge them into depression and even be a form of harassment. He asserted that deepfake videos can upset democracies and they need to be regulated. The videos have come at a time when Emmanuel Macron is already thought to be despondent about his centrist camp's defeat in the June snap elections. Now, the polls resulted in a hung parliament, forcing him to appoint Michel Barnier from the Republican Party as the Prime Minister. Now, Barnier has taken over day-to-day charge of the country. He's cut Macron out of the loop of domestic decision-making, and Macron still has to fill in the final 3 years of his term in office. In India, the decks have been cleared for the formation of the National Conference Congress Alliance government in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, 4 independent candidates today declared their support for the government. With this, the National Conference alone has the strength of over 46 MLAs, giving the alliance an overall strength of 53 MLAs in the Union Territory. Now, WION's special correspondent Idris Lone has sent us this report. Take a look.
Umar Abdullah, Vice President of the National Conference, has been chosen as the Legislative Party leader and the Chief Ministerial candidate for Jammu and Kashmir. The 42 MLAs of the National Conference, along with 4 independent candidates, attended the meeting.
Today in the meeting of the National Conference Legislature Party, I have been elected as the leader of the Legislature Party. I express my gratitude to the MLAs. Talks are going on to get the letter of support from the Congress. 4 independent MLAs have also extended their support to the National Conference. Now the number of NC is 42 plus 4 independent MLAs. After receiving the letter from Congress, we will go to the Raj Bhavan to stake claim to form the government.
The National Conference Congress Alliance has a majority on its own. While the NC would have a major share in the ministry formation, the Congress party is expected to get 1 ministerial berth in the cabinet.
We unanimously chose Umar Sahib as our leader. 46 members chose him as their legislative party leader. It was a proud moment for all of us. At the same time, a very emotional moment for all of us. We sat in this meeting like after 10 years, National Conference leadership, and we were proud about it that Umar Sahib was chosen leader. And I'm very sure his wisdom, his experience will help this government in a long way to solve problems, basic problems of people.
The National Conference and Congress are likely to stake the claim for the government formation with the Lieutenant Governor on Thursday.
With the support of 4 independent candidates in the National Conference today, it has gone to the magical number of majority. A National Conference now can stake claim to form the government on its own. But Umar Abdullah has decided to take all the alliance partners together and form the government along with the Congress. But it seems that in reality, Congress will definitely not have any negotiation power with the National Conference. With video journalist Feroz, Idris Lone for WION World is One.
After a largely peaceful election process in Mozambique, vote counting is currently underway. The ruling Frelimo party is expected to win another term in office. Now, Frelimo has been in power since 1975, but the party has been previously accused of rigging past elections. And people fear that it may happen this time round as well.
Yes, yesterday I went to vote. It was good. These were very good elections. A lot of people going to vote. Until 8 p.m. people were still queuing. We are going to have good results and things will change in our country.
I hope that this process will be democratic and that we don't have the same situation we had in the last elections where there were complaints and so on. I hope that it will be a free, fair and transparent process.
The officials say that the results can in fact take up to 2 weeks to finalize, and analysts say that even though the voting process saw no major untoward incident, there are changes that the situation can become tense in the next few days. Now, 4 candidates are vying for the top job. To replace the outgoing President Filipe Nyusi, 47-year-old lawyer Daniel Chapo is being considered the front-runner. The Moldova is getting up for a double decision. Voters will not only be casting their ballot for the presidential election, but also on a referendum for joining the European Union. The Moldovans are due to vote on the EU referendum and presidential polls on the 20th of October. with the incumbent president, Maya Sandu, eyeing a return to power. Sandu is known for her pro-Western stance and has led the country's bid to join the bloc by 2030. Now, days ahead of the crucial mandate, the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, visited the election-bound nation with the objective of urging the people to rally behind the membership bid to join the European Union bloc.
There's a big milestone ahead for the people of Moldova. Citizens will soon go to the polls and decide sovereignly whether to anchor Moldova's European future in your constitution. I encourage Moldovans to use their vote and express their free choice.
Over 65% of the Moldovan products are going to the European Union. This clearly shows where our economic interests lie. It is the mission of these generations to make the transformation and build the European Union at home. Thank you.
Now, Moldova formerly was a part of the Soviet Union till it dissolved in 1991. The country, with a population of just 2.5 million people, is located between Romania and Ukraine. Moldova has a shared history with Ukraine that has been embroiled in a long war with Russia. The country has strongly opposed the Russian invasion of its neighbor and has repeatedly accused Moscow of trying to overthrow the pro-Western government of Moldova. And that's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
The US race to power, marked by high-octane campaign rallies, life-threatening encounters, game-changing presidential debates, the color and the drama, the key defining moments, deep insights and informed analysis. Watch continuous coverage of the US presidential elections 2024 on WION World is One.
What if कोई medical emergency हो?
As Alia Bhatt's starrer Jigra currently runs in theatres, we tell you all about the big Indian release.
Hi, I'm Rhiannon Lewis.
Meet the cast of Sweet Pea as the series starts streaming online.
मेरा नाम विजय, दीनानाथ John.
And find out some rare facts about the Indian icon Amitabh Bachchan as he turns a year older. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership, we will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.